Hey friends, this is Danny with Triple H Farms. The day's finally come. We're going to show you guys how we make our self-wicking tubs. These are our planters that we grow, and usually in our backyard, little kitchen garden. We grow, lettuce and greens and cherry tomatoes and different things in them. And about a month ago, I guess, when we made a video showing you where we were planting those items, we had some people interested and commented about our tubs and where you could get one and how did we make them. So we thought we better do a video. This is just going to be a demonstration video, if you will. So we'll go through it pretty quickly. This is very, very inexpensive thing to do. All you need first and foremost is a tub or a container of some kind. We use these tubs that, hi Waylon, how are you, buddy? You're going to have to go so we can make our video. Anyway, these tubs come from our local cattle ranchers that we pick them up from them. They feed cattle feed in these throughout the year, and as they empty them, a lot of times they're looking for a place to get rid of them. Sometimes you can pick them up for $2 or $3 a piece, and sometimes, if you know the right person, you can get them for free. But these tubs, this idea could be done in almost any type of container. I've seen people do it in 5-gallon buckets, although that limits you on what you could grow as far as volume. But I've seen people buy big flower pots. I've seen them use half poly barrels, cut them in half and use those. But basically anything that you could use for a container. So you need the tub. You need some milk jugs or water bottles. These are just some that we collect through the year and save them up. And then you need another item that you could use is this corrugated pipe. This is like drainage pipe, and this is not as easily available for most people to get, so that's why I don't necessarily, I'm not going to use it for the demonstration today. But you also need a piece of landscape fabric. This is just weed fabric or landscape fabric. This is a commercial grade. I bought a roll of this from a landscape nursery supply store. I forget, it's about $30, I think, for maybe a 100-foot roll. Anyway, you only need a piece about 4 foot long. This fabric is 36 inches wide or 3 feet wide, so 3 by 4 piece of landscape fabric. You need some soil, and you don't want to use just any dirt. You don't want to go out and just dig dirt up out of the yard or the fence embankment or somewhere where the soil's built up. You want to use something that's a good loose potting mix, or something that has, a good potting mix. It's got some peat moss in it, and some stuff that'll allow these tubs to breathe and aerate and drain. Another thing that you're going to need is a piece of PVC pipe or plastic pipe. This is a piece of 3/4 inch PVC pipe. You notice that I got it cut on one end. It's cut kind of at an angle. This is like a 45-degree angle. One side can be flat. You need your piece of pipe. You're going to need a drill and a drill bit, because we're going to drill one drain hole in this tub, and that's going to serve as a relief. Basically, if you get a lot of rain and this tub starts to fill up with too much water, that'll allow it to drain out good. But you only want to put one hole in it. We'll tell you about that in just a second. So here we are. We're going to get started. Like I said, I'm using these milk jugs or water jugs. This one here is just a distilled water jug. Now the important thing is that you have to take a nail or a screw or a drill bit and drill some holes in these jugs. Now I drill 4 holes in the bottom in 4 different spots, and then 3 or 4 holes in the top. And these holes are just little holes, like 1/8 inch. All this is to allow water in and the air to escape. So as you fill this tub up with water, you want the water to be able to flow inside of these jugs, because these are acting as your reservoir. And in order for the water to go in and the jug not to try to float up, you got to have a way for the air to flow out, and then vice versa. As the water gets drained out, these holes allow the water to get sucked out and used by the plants. Now this tub, we use six milk jugs in this tub, and you notice we're leaving the center here open. That's going to basically be what your wick is. And we've got our 6 jugs in there. We're going to take our piece of landscape fabric, and as evenly as we can, we're going to press this landscape fabric down into this tub. And you want to push it all the way down in the center like that, plumb to the bottom of the tub. Now you want to start to fill your soil into this tub. You only want to put a little bit in there at a time, and I'll show you why. We're going to kind of pack it down in there, not real tight, but you want to get it to where it fills any voids around these jugs. Because this piece of landscape fabric isn't a round piece, naturally it's not going to conform evenly to the inside of this tub. So you just want to make sure that you fold it in a way that the soil can't get past it and get down in around these milk jugs. We're going to start to level this out, spread it around, and you'll see that as you get it spread out, it starts to kind of fill in the voids around some of these jugs and even out. And now it is going to settle some, especially once you start watering plants and stuff that you put in it. And that's okay. You can always add a little bit more soil later. Now, before we get too much further, we've got to add our fill tube. All you want to do is find you a spot, and this is going to go in between the landscape fabric and the tub. You put your end that has the 45 slant down. That way when you are filling your water, if this was flat, it would set flat against the bottom of the tub and your water wouldn't be able to escape the tube and into your reservoir. So make sure you cut this slightly, drop it down in there. And then you're just going to put some more soil in here. Now what I like to do before I get it, when I get it about half full like this, I like to add a little bit of food, a little bit of fertilizer. Again, we're just using our Sustain 464 organic dry fertilizer here. And we're just going to add a couple of handfuls, spread it around real good. You can also put in things like gypsum. You can put in Epsom salt. You know, if you're planting tomatoes in here and you wanted to crumble up some dried eggshells real fine and powder them in here for calcium, that would help. But today, for the sake of this video, we're just putting in that Sustain fertilizer. And then I've got a bucket that has some compost in it from our place here. So these are just composted wood chips. A little bit of leaf mulch, just to add some organic matter to this soil, because what we're putting in here is mostly just a potting mix. It's been used, so there's a little bit of other things in there, like you'll see a few pieces of wheat straw and things like that. We just mix that in a little bit. Then we can come back in, add another layer of this potting mix. That's even got a little bit of soil in it from the last time I used it, I guess. But that's okay. You want to pack it in around this tube pretty good. That way the tube doesn't move on you when you start trying to use it for a filler. Now, obviously you want to go ahead and fill this. You can fill this tub plumb to the top because, like I said, it is going to settle some, especially once you start watering it. you can come through and you can trim this excess fabric off. You can even take a little torch or a lighter and come around and burn the edges of this landscape fabric so it'll sear it over and it won't fray. But the last step that we like to do is we're going to drill the drain hole in these tubs. I always like to put mine on the opposite side of the fill tube. So I'm going to spin it around 180. Now you remember we use milk jugs, and those milk jugs have about a 10-inch height. So our reservoir, we want our water to be able to fill up all the way in those jugs. So our drain hole, we're going to come up about 8 inches from the bottom of the tub, and we're going to drill a hole. Now the reason we're not going any higher than that is because ideally you want a little bit of airspace between your water level in your reservoir and the top of that soil. Now obviously at the center of our tub, the soil goes plumb to the bottom, and that's on purpose because you want it to be able to draw the moisture from around those jugs and draw the moisture into that soil, and the plant that is planted in here will eventually, as the root system gets established, it will draw the water, draw the nutrients up from the bottom of this tub. 8 inches, maybe 6 or 7 inches here. That's all we do is one hole. That's it, really. You can come in here now, and we like to plant a tomato plant. We come right in the middle of this tub. We dig our hole out. You can add some more fertilizer if you choose to. You put your tomato plant in there, you cover it up, and you pack it in, and you water your plant in. Now the idea of these tubs is that you don't have to top water the plants. It does a lot of things. You don't lose as much water to evaporation in the summertime. When you're not watering constantly on top, you're not feeding any weed seeds that might blow into this. Now, I'm not saying you're not going to have any weeds, because inevitably you will, but it's a lot easier to pick them out of this than it is an in-ground garden. So the first 2 or 3 times, 2 or 3 weeks that you plant in these tubs, you want to water with a watering can or something, a water hose, right on top, just like you would anything else. But once your plant has a chance to have been established for a little bit and the root system gets established, you can come in and you can fill your reservoir up using this fill tube. And a little hint, you can go to Harbor Freight or probably any of your box stores or your hardware store, buy you a funnel, a long neck funnel like this one. I just stick that in there, and then I can pour water right into it, and I fill it until it starts to come out this drain hole that we put in it. Fertilizer, if you're feeding a water soluble fertilizer, mix it right into your water, into your watering can. Come pour it right in here. Every time you water this, every time you fill this container, you'll be watering your plant and feeding it nutrients. So these tubs, it's not my design. I don't take any credit for it. I found out about these on YouTube from a fellow YouTuber, Leon Sloan. Leon is a fellow Oklahoman. He lives in down south in Kingston, Oklahoma. He has a greenhouse business and plant nursery. He sells greenhouses. If you're in need of a high tunnel or a greenhouse, contact Kingston, Leon Sloan down in Kingston, Oklahoma. But Leon is the one that where I first saw these tubs. He's got hundreds of them, and he grows tomatoes and strawberries and cucumbers and all kinds of things. And you ought to go look him up. He has a YouTube channel, Gardening with Leon. But Leon does a lot of gardening with these tubs and has taught a lot of people how to use them. This is kind of just a unique way, a fun way. This is a way to get your kids involved in gardening. Get the materials you need. You can throw one of these together, as you saw, in about 10 or 15 minutes, and then you're ready to go. And get your kids out there and get them involved and show them how to grow their own food. That's it for today. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Thanks for watching. Remember to like this video, subscribe so you don't miss any of our content. Have a good evening.